Discerning the voice of Yah and then obeying his command means that every step afterwards is going to be favored, blessed, and everything's going to be okay. Right? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day 1 of Lecha. And we are in Genesis, Bereshit chapter 12, where we are introduced to the continuing storyline from much of the rest of this book about Abraham, his descendants, and the happenings that take place in the patriarchs' lives. Let's start with chapter 12, verse 1 down through verse number 4. Yahweh said to Abram, his name is Aram at this point, "Go yourself out of your land, from your relatives, and from your father's house to a land which I show you, and I shall make you a great nation and bless you, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I shall bless those who bless you, and curse him who curses you. And in you all the clans of the earth shall be blessed." So Abram left as Yahweh commanded him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. Now let's go down to verse number 10. "And a scarcity of food came to be in the land. And Abram went down to Mitzrayim to sojourn there, for the scarcity of food was severe in the land." Wait a minute. Yeah, you told me to get out of where it was that I was living and come to this land, and you were going to show me this land, and you were going to bless me so much that I would be a blessing to others. And I get out here, and now there's a famine in the land, and I can't stay in the land. I have to go somewhere else. What's up with this? And how many times have we been in such situations as we obeyed? We know that we heard. We know that we heard clearly. We know that it was Yah speaking. We obeyed, did what he asked, and then the wheels fell off. Permit me for just a few moments to share with you a little personal story here. In 1986, I was working in Martinsville, where we were living at the time, working in a local factory. Had done so since graduating high school. Laura and I were both employed by the same company. And we had a small 2-bedroom apartment. And we had just witnessed the birth of our oldest daughter, Amber. She was about 2 months old. And I was preaching local revivals or local Sunday nights, Wednesday nights, whatever I could find. Knew I was called to preach, absolutely 100% sure of that. Just really had no open door opportunities. So if I could find it within driving distance, I went. I had a friend in another state who was a college professor that I had met. And we had become friends, and he sent me this letter. And in this letter, he says, "I'm risking our friendship to be this forward with you, but if you're really called to preach, then at some point you're going to have to," and I use his phrase, quote unquote, "make the break." That is to enter ministry full time. He said, "If that means coming to college, I'll help you. If you want to go to a different college, I'll help you. But you need to do something, but you can't do what you're called to do part-time." I took that as Yah's word to me. I had a couple of local things booked, and then I got a call from someone, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours away in another part of the state. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is time to make my break. This is a sign from heaven. And I did what Abraham did. I Lecha'd. I got up, got myself out, and went full time. Quit my factory job. And here we are, and waved goodbye to Amber and my wife, Laura, and pulled out of the driveway to go to this long-distance revival. When I came back home, the phone didn't ring, and nobody was asking me to come and preach, and we struggled. We barely survived, at least financially, and I was breaking, but no one else was breaking with me. couple years later, it's 1988. We have our second daughter, Andrea. She's only a 2-month-old baby. Familiar picture. And this pastor in a very fast-growing church in Fredericksburg asked me to come and be youth pastor there and be on staff. Well, I took that as a sign from heaven, and we left Lecha again. This time, my wife and 2 daughters. And we struggled financially, barely survived. We struggled relationally. We didn't know anybody. It was a hard place to be. And it was bad. And we left after 10 months. Well, the whole reason for the 10-month level of departure came out later on, and it was just a bad church scene. I won't go into the details of that. We come to Gloucester after, routes of pastoral ministries, and I had worked in a local business for 10 years, and I got a friend that if I called his name, every one of you would know him. And he was telling me how much the Hebrew Roots community needed me to be out there helping. And they needed my teaching style. They needed the messages that I was given, etc. And so I thought, Father, I've worked at this business long enough. 10 years to the day, I left the job, started a website, started a online ministry of internet radio, sent out information to folks that I'm available. Nothing happened. We struggled financially. We struggled in a lot of ways. And again, I was wondering very much out loud, did I hear you right? 3 times at 3 different levels, I lecha'd the way that I believe that Yah would have had me to go. I believe I discerned his voice and the opportunities that were being presented. And it was at least a year in each situation where we struggled and barely survived financially. And it was tough. Those are not fun times. Hearing Yah, though, requires that you have to make moves that are not always easy. You may have initial open doors. You may feel good about it at the moment, but that doesn't mean that sense of security and stability will continue on after the fact. The challenge is not just in the initial obedience. The challenge continues after you obey, that you have an ongoing trust in him, that you heard him, and that he will deliver you out of whatever opposing trials and situations may develop. You will have those moments, perhaps, where you look toward heaven and you cry out and you say, look, Yah, hello. You spoke to me. You called me out of where it was that I was at, or what it was that I was doing, or how I was operating. You orchestrated this life change for me, and I obeyed you. Now that I've obeyed you, I'm up to my neck in something other here, and I'm barely hanging on, and I need you to rescue me, but I also need to get you to give me the power and the opportunity and the ability to do what it is that you put me here to do. Sounds a little bit familiar from last week, I know, but this is where Yah is speaking today. That there are times that we just have to have this ongoing trust beyond the initial area of obedience, because as with Avram here, it's not always simplistic. I'm in the land and it's going to be automatic. We are in overdrive now. Let's just go, go, go. And Yah says, put on the brakes. What do you mean? Why do circumstances develop after obedience? Let me give you the clue. Obedience without challenge means you're not going to be refined enough to receive the purpose of the obedience. Obeying is just going to class, going in the classroom. Now we're being refined, groomed, conditioned, trained, positioned in order to grasp then what we're called to do, so that obedience becomes fruit-bearing. A lot to chew on today, and we'll hope to see you again tomorrow. Till then, shalom.